Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the virtual session about teaching STEM and arts, or STEAM, from an interdisciplinary perspective with drones. So I'm assuming that most of you don't know a lot about drones, and so I'm going to start from a very first steps perspective here. Please don't be offended if I tell you stuff that you already know, but I think that drones are just super, super cool, and it's been very easy to get students engaged in thinking about drones. So what I'd like to do today is to give you some sense of the different kinds of things that you can do with drones when you're trying to teach interdisciplinary science, technology, education, math, communication arts, videography, photography, journalism, agriculture, construction science, try to give you a sense of all these kinds of things. And what we've discovered is that this is working really well across the K-12 spectrum. We've got kindergarten students that are able to do some simple coding for drones for autonomous flight. We've got middle school students that are racing drones around the state. We have high school students that are doing journalism projects where they're doing video captures of community festivals. So lots of different kinds of things going on. But where I'm going to start today is with a very short video clip of something cool that you can get your students to do to get them interested in drones. And it only takes one drone. This answers the question of how many drones does it take to screw in a light bulb? And the answer is just one if you've got very creative middle school students. So again, my name is Tim Slater. I'm a professor at the University of Wyoming in the College of Education. I've got a bunch of colleagues that I'm working with on this. Some of these guys are here today. Curtis Biggs from the University of Wyoming College of Education Trustees Education Initiative. Rick Sanchez from Buffalo, Wyoming, where he's at Clear Creek Middle School, and a whole host of folks that have pulled this thing together, because what we've been developing is a statewide system of drone festivals that are held at communities and community colleges around the state that your students and you and your family members can participate in. Let me give you a sense of the kinds of things that we're doing and kinds of ways that students in your classrooms can plug in. But the reason that drones are getting really interesting right now is because a lot's changed with the technology. One thing that's changed is that drones are much less expensive than they used to be. It used to be drones would be $500, $1,000, $2,500, or for a professional drone, $30,000, $50,000. That's not true today. Drones are becoming incredibly inexpensive. Some of the drones we work with cost about $30 each, and that's with the remote control, the camera, all those sorts of things. And they're also really easy to fly. Some teachers we work with come to our workshops and our professional development programs, and they've got this box full of broken drone pieces. And I said, what happened here? And the story is always the same. I got this drone because I thought it would be very, very cool, and I took it out of the box and I launched it and I crashed it into the wall. It broke into a million pieces, and I haven't touched it since. It's just gathering dust. That's a pretty common story. Turns out today that drones are much, much easier to fly. Most drones have computer control systems in them that make them incredibly easy. We teach elementary school students to fly drones in about 5 minutes. Adults, of course, because we're scared of these things, take longer. But in 20 minutes, you can be up and flying a pretty sophisticated drone. And that makes it ideal for working with school students of a wide variety of ages. And they're relatively inexpensive. A really, really nice drone you can have for $150, a super nice drone for $500. We'll talk about what those look like in different applications, because the kind of drone you want depends on exactly how you're trying to use this. Mariah, can you let Damien in the room here? So in addition to drones being relatively inexpensive now, one of the things that drones allow us to do is to teach the principles of aviation. And that's, again, something that cuts across all disciplines. From the science side, we can talk about the physics of flight and exactly why do these things fly and why do they have 4 propellers and why do the propellers turn in the directions they do. But also from a chemistry perspective, we can talk about the nature of air, talk about the phase changes, what happens to air at different temperatures. We can begin to talk about engineering and how do you formulate drones in terms of what kind of shape of the propellers they should have and how much thrust and how much lift they have. have. We can also begin to talk about issues related to aviation technology in terms of how do airports work and how do we predict the weather? What's weather forecasting mean? When you're outside wanting to fly a drone and you look up in the sky and you see a particular kind of cloud, what does that mean about what's going on in the air above the ground? And that's particularly important if you're using a drone to take pictures, doing photography, doing videography. You want to be sure that the atmosphere is the right composition of the right humidity and the right lighting in order to get exactly the kind of pictures you want. So a wide variety of topics that we can teach using drones. So rather than having a drone class, what most people do is they use drones to integrate into different parts of their existing courses. That's not to say a drone class isn't really cool, and there are a few of them around Wyoming, but not a lot yet. But I sure would like to see some more of them. And maybe after you hear some of these ideas, you might think this is a good idea as well. In addition to being able to teach a wide variety of topics like the physics of flight, most drones are remotely controlled, which means you're not actually in the drone itself. These things are small, they easily fit inside your hand, and these drones can get to places that human beings can't get. This is particularly useful in agriculture, where if you want to do crop monitoring, you want your students to be able to take a picture of a field and take the same picture every day over the course of 3 months to watch how crops are growing, or to take a drone and to go out and to monitor where the different animals are, where the herds are. Suppose you want to get up in the morning and want to go check the water troughs and be sure that there's water in each of these troughs. Rather than getting up and getting in your warm outfit and going out and looking at the water troughs, you can actually have your drone go out, take pictures of all the water troughs, and come back and deliver the pictures while you're sitting there drinking your coffee. I mean, these things are pretty cool. They can do things that humans just can't do easily, and they can do it automatically, and they can do it quickly. Taking pictures, taking images, wide variety of things that can work with that. And what's really cool is the technology is super easy to do. Now, part of where this works has to do with teaching computer coding. Many teachers are interested in teaching computer coding, block coding, blockchain, these sorts of things, and drones are no exception. Sure, drones are fun and easy to fly with joysticks and moving them around and dodging to the left and dodging to the right. But it turns out drones are perfect. If you haven't using a drone to do the same sort of activity every day, for example, going out and riding your fence line and being sure your fences are all good and check that every afternoon or every morning, you can program a drone to do exactly the same task again and again and again. And so computer coding is a place that this plugs in quite nicely. And you don't have to be an expert at computer coding because most of the drone commands are pretty clear. Fly forward 20 feet, fly up 20 feet, fly to the left 30 feet, do a flip. Well, that's just kind of fun, but you can tell your drone to do that as well. So computer coding. If you're interested in teaching autonomous flight, this is a great place to do this. If you already have a robotics club and you already have students that have expertise in programming robots like Lego Robotics or VEX, First Lego League, the interface looks exactly the same. The only thing that's different is instead of having a robot go around in 2 dimensions, left, right, forward, and back, you have a drone that goes left, right, forward, back, and up and down, which is particularly cool. All right. Part of what's interesting here is the career aspect. And there's a lot to do with marketing in terms of new technology about how drones are going to become an important part of our lives. For example, I have a short commercial here I'm going to show you. It's just 30 seconds. This is an Acura commercial for a car. And let me set this up for you because it's a little odd. First of all, the car you see is a concept car. It's not in production right now. But the key thing about this car is that it has drones attached to it, and drones are part of the driving system. The technology is all in place. It's all off the shelf. It's relatively easy to do. Now, here's the setup. We've got 2 young ladies who are going out into the wilderness to enjoy some camping, and they're using drones to help them with this camping and driving experience. we have the drones flying along with them, serving as headlights. Pretty cool. Ridiculously cool, actually. And the technology is already in place to deploy this sort of thing. The biggest problems we're having with actually deploying this is what happens if you have a bunch of cars on the highway and they all have their own drones. You can imagine this gets complicated. But in fact, drones are becoming more and more common. And so we're starting to actually run into a problem technology-wise in terms of how do we manage all these different drones. So here's a short video of something you might find interesting. This is also a commercial, and this is for a series of drones that are in use right now in California. Most of you are familiar with shopping on Amazon, and you can click add to cart and buy now. But in San Francisco, you can choose 30-minute delivery. And here's how that works. Now time to run outside and pick up your package. Now, I don't live in California, but if I did, when that drone came in and dropped off on my great package I've been waiting for 30 whole minutes, my pets, my dogs would go crazy with that. So I don't know how we're going to manage that. You know, pets attacking these things when they land, they have a funny noise, and so they don't like them very much. By the way, Mariah, I see some note in the chat window. I see the chat window is there, but I can't actually see what's in the chat. So
yeah,
let me know if that's important.
Tim, so it's Troy. He says, is Audi going to make a Halo Warthog? I have a new life goal.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, that's fantastic. So one of the problems, of course, is dogs attacking this thing. Another problem is traffic. Suppose you and your next door neighbor and the person that lives next to them, all order at the same time. Do you want one drone that's got a potential for 3 packages, or do you want to have 3 different drones going at the same time? Now, in Wyoming, where you may live several miles from your closest neighbor, that may not be a problem. But you can imagine in a densely packed area like Denver, air traffic control is actually one of the challenges that we're having to figure out here. All right. That said, the computer science coding that allows these drones to fly independently, because there's no one actually piloting that drone, that Amazon drone, the ability for drones to not only make deliveries, but to take pictures and do remote sensing, you can begin to imagine the number of careers that are going to be available to students who have skills at flying and programming drones. You can imagine, for example, many of the things that could happen related to supporting law enforcement or emergency services. For example, you know, here's a picture of a fire where drones are looking at this. If this drone was equipped with an infrared camera, infrared light penetrates clouds. You could actually look right through and see where the people are. You could see where any people need to be rescued, exactly see where the fire is, what kind of damage is going on, just by altering the kind of camera that goes on these drones. So a tremendous number of careers. And you don't have to have a PhD in engineering to do this. You don't even have to have a bachelor's degree. Many very talented drone pilots come straight out of high school with a technical background, or you go to one of these technical colleges with programs. Central Wyoming College in Riverton has a drone program. I believe some of the other community colleges are developing this as well. Hey, Mariah, I see your face popped up there.
Yes, sir. I don't want to cut you off, but we're going to wrap it up in about 2 minutes for Q&A if you'd like.
Okay, that'd be fantastic.
All right.
All right. So I misunderstood you. I thought you wanted me to go 30 minutes here. So, okay, no problem. I'm going to skip right over that. So anytime you've got drones, you've got more than one drone, first thing kids want to do is see whose drone is fastest. And so in fact, there are racing programs all around the country at the college level, at the high school level, and now at the elementary school level here in Wyoming, where students can race one another, as well as doing it face-to-face, or here in the age of the pandemic, can be done virtually. We host virtual races, so we can have students anywhere in Wyoming log onto the internet and begin to race one another. And you can see all these different this is a complicated picture here. On the left-hand side, you've got the screen showing what the different racers see. On the right-hand side, you actually see the course. The top right-hand corner, you've got people doing live commentary, color commentary, talking about these different races. And so virtual racing is something that students can do to perfect their precision flight skills. So what's coming up here that Wyoming teachers can take advantage of here in the very near future? We have 4 more big events occurring. We've got a teacher workshop going on in Gillette at Gillette College in November. In January, we're having a Bighorn Basin invitational competition. Any student can come as long as they have an adult supervision. They can come as a class. You can bring your whole class, or students can come by themselves as long as they have a parent. We're running a competition in Gillette at Area 59 at Gillette College in April, and we're going to host the very first ever state drone championships that are going to occur in Buffalo in June. And at these events, basically it's like an Olympiad. There are 6 different events that students can compete in. They can compete in 1 or 2 or all 6. There are computer coding competitions. There's racing. There's virtual racing. There's business entrepreneurial and planning programs that have to do with understanding the legal applications and legal rules related to flying drones. There's virtual reality simulators. There's even a film festival related to drones, and that's going to be very, very fun as well. So there's a quick introduction to the kinds of things we're doing related to drones. If students in your classrooms are interested in drones and you want to create a drone team, a drone club, a drone class, or just tell your students about it, here are some things that they can do. Teachers hyphen is abbreviated, not misspelled, by the way. So with that, Mariah, I'm happy to take questions. I'll even stop my share so I can see everybody.